Okay, we have spent a lot of time at the beginning of Nehemiah, and now we're going to get into a lot of the details on how Nehemiah actually did what he set out to do. So, this is going to be our wrap up for the book. I hope that you've read it and will continue to read it. But I want to bring to mind through the rest of the book three principles, three characteristics of great leaders that I think that we can learn from Nehemiah as we continue to read about how he did what he did. So, the first one is this: leaders work on things, not just in things. And what I mean by on it is sort of above it. And leaders look above what's happening and try to get a vision and a viewpoint that is higher than just down in the nitty-gritty of details. As you begin to accomplish whatever work you're trying to do, the constant temptation is going to be to just react to the urgent problems in front of you. And one of the things we see with Nehemiah is that he kept trying to address the important problems. He was never in one place for very long. He was making sure that he moved around where people were working. When conflict, as we talked about last time, arose, as it inevitably will, he solved the problem of the conflict. He had half of the people would be working on the wall while someone stood back to back with them with a weapon to actually protect them while they worked on the wall. What Nehemiah did was he made sure that he continued to rally the troops all in different locations. If he had stopped for too long to try to work in something, which I'm sure he did at some point, he would have missed the opportunity to work on it. He had to stay above it. It takes a great amount of discipline and sort of devotion to the higher cause for a leader to avoid the temptation to just keep reacting to whatever's in front of them. What happens then is you begin to live in the tyranny of the urgent, and you never really actually get to the important things. I think what would have happened if that had happened with Nehemiah, he would have missed some of the things, the decisions that he had to make in order to see this wall through. One of my favorite stories in Nehemiah is when he tells everyone that he's going to rally them with a trumpet. So he's got no one with him but a trumpeter. That's the only person who stays with Nehemiah. Everybody else is working on the wall. Half of them are holding weapons, trying to keep people away from what they're trying to do. Half of them are building the wall. And he says, hey, I'm going to keep this trumpet guy with me. And when you hear the trumpet, that's when you know that we've got to communicate. So that is just classic leadership. The ability to realize one of our greatest needs is communication. I'm the only one who could solve this problem. I've got to work on it, not just in it. And by doing so, I'm going to be able to accomplish the task in front of us. So leaders work on it. The second thing is that leaders finish well. A lot of people who are great at starting are not great at finishing. And what we see with Nehemiah is that he did not stop when the wall was built. He actually continued to press forward to the real thing. The real deal with the whole wall was not that the wall in itself needed to be rebuilt. The wall was a symbol and was the beginning of God's people being called back to himself. What happens after the wall is built and there is safety and the city is defined is that the law of God is read to all the people. And then we begin to see a waterfall set of reforms that Nehemiah put in place to call God's people back to themselves. So what we realized is that it was never about the wall. That was just the first thing. And Nehemiah was not just a great starter, he was a great finisher. After all of that conflict and all of the turmoil that it took to build the wall, he didn't stop because that was not his ultimate goal. His ultimate goal was to bring glory to God and to restore God's people to who they were called to be. We don't even realize that at the beginning because that's not what it says. What it says is that he wanted to build a wall. So real leaders finish well. They keep their eye on the ball, on what they're actually about. Like, what game are we playing? What are we trying to accomplish? This is probably only going to be one piece of it. How do I finish well as a leader? Either by the next things that come after the thing I started, by making sure I complete all of those tasks, or by passing my leadership on to another who will be the one who takes it to the next place. So leaders finish well. And then finally, leaders always remember why they started. This is so easy to forget. You get sort of pressed in by problems, urgency strikes, people begin to need you more and more. And Nehemiah consistently says, God, remember me, look on me with favor, remember what I've done. All of this was about Nehemiah wanting to please God because of what God had done in his heart and what he had called him to do. And Nehemiah kept remembering that that's why he started. One of the ways that you can do this as a leader is to always remember your story and to try to have opportunities to tell that story to the people that you're around. So people who work with you, people who work around you, people who are part of what you're doing, they should understand why you're there. And they should understand why they're also there. You should help them be able to understand their story about why they do what they do. So just recently I was with a group of new leaders and I said, hey, I want to tell you 3 things about my own faith journey that impact the way that I lead. And it took me a little while to come up with that because it's been a while since I told that story. But even when I did, I was reminded God gives us the gift of our own personal journey with him so that we might have the passion for the vision that he's called us to lead. So don't forget why you started. Keep remembering why you started. Keep asking yourself, am I still following that same spark, that same vision that got me going when I began?